knowing that this team goes out to educate the community. I love that the most, especially coming to Ōtara. This is where I'm from, so obviously I want to educate the kids that I went to school with. Because growing up here, I know a lot of dogs don't get the home they deserve, just like my old family dog, but because of the job I got, I was able to educate my parents, and now,
This podcast is proudly supported by the Ōtara Network Action Committee, ONAC, community-owned, community-driven and community-led.
Kia ora mai tātou. This is Judy Speight welcoming you back once more to the We Are Ōtara Podcast. This is the place where we are bringing our stories from Ōtara to you so that you understand more about who we are as a community and what we've got to offer for you to start getting more involved. So today I am joined by the amazing Aaron.
Kia ora.
And the even more amazing Lily.
hello.
Who are with us from Auckland Council's
Proactive Animal Management
team. How about that? And something I just said to them as we came up from downstairs is that whole, I'm really loving where you guys are seeing your team in terms of how you can better serve the public and how you can help us have a better relationship with our animals.
Yes. Hopefully, that is the goal.
So we're going to take it from the top, Aaron. You are in charge of introducing the podcast in terms of what you're going to share with us. And at some point we'll cut to Lily. And if I think you're dragging on too much, I will say,
Okay.
how's that?
Yeah, so just talk about what we're going to talk about, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I've only really got to know you through our Ōtara Network meetings, the ONAC meetings that we have once a month. But I know that there's this whole vision out there about, what's the end game? Where are we going with our relationship, particularly with dogs? Because that's your focus, isn't it?
Yeah.
And there's an old chicken on the way, but primarily dogs. So there was a number that you gave us last year, I think, about how many more dogs there were in this area, Hapori Ōtara, since COVID. Is that a good place to start?
Yeah, I don't have those stats. I probably could grab them if we had a look, but
It's okay.
we could probably talk about the numbers in Auckland as a whole, because that's...
Okay, well, that was 75,000 more dogs, wasn't it?
Yeah, do you know what, honestly? It's
That's the
off
number
top
I've
of my
heard.
head. Yeah.
So I heard that number, so about, give or take, it's better if I say it then.
Yeah.
We won't get in trouble. I heard that there's been this dramatic number of dogs that have joined our community because of COVID, because everyone wanted a puppy. Somewhere there was what happens next didn't get quite,
Yeah, huge increase of dogs across Tāmaki Makaurau, but in Ōtara as well, particularly. Just lots and lots and lots of little puppies that were being born during COVID due to lack of desexing, and roaming dogs going out looking for each other, having a good time, and getting pregnant and having puppies. And so now we have this boom in the dog population. And unfortunately, they're not being looked after, and they're not being contained, and not being desexed either themselves. So when they grow up, they have even more puppies, and we get this exponential
population
growth. Yeah,
explosion.
And that's what people are seeing out on the streets of Ōtara and around Tāmaki Makaurau. That's why we're seeing, one of the reasons why we're seeing so many more roaming dogs. So our ambition, our goal is to come in, not only get these dogs back home to their hopefully loving owners that are wondering where their puppies have gone, but educating the community around the importance of desexing and keeping their dogs contained. Because where there's more roaming dogs, that's where we get more of the issues. That's where we get
and the issues are really dog attacks on people, on property, on pets. So is that a good place to start a bit about the how-to? So I've got a dog, it's got 6 puppies. Maybe we go back to we're talking about origin stories. The origin story of the of the dogs. I remember your colleague at a meeting recently saying that a male dog can smell a bitch on heat from 7 kilometres. Is that the number?
That would have 5 kilometres. Yeah, that would have been me. I think that said that, and that's like you imagine that in a radius.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That covers Hapori Ōtara.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So a male dog can smell a female dog in heat up to 5 kilometres away, and you imagine that radius, a 5k radius. Any female in heat within that radius, he's going to smell her
and sniff it out,
and he's going to do everything within his power to get out and find her.
Yeah,
and she's also going to be doing everything in her power to get out and look for all the boys. Yeah, normally if you see a pack of roaming dogs, that's usually the cause. There'll be one female on heat in the middle, and the rest will be males looking for a good time.
So there are a couple of things here. The myths, I suppose, because I've never been a dog owner, but I was thinking a dog's least likely to become aggressive if they're neutered. That's my first question.
Yeah, it's I mean it's not a definitive solution, but dogs are less likely to become aggressive when they're desexed. They're also just less likely to have that desire to roam because of what we spoke about before, so they're less likely to get in those situations where they're going to behave aggressively, like coming across another dog or being scared by some excited children or chasing a cat, for example. They're less likely to get in those situations if they're not having that desire to roam.
If you take that principle and spread it more broadly across other species, it's probably quite a good idea.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So the next bit is it better to, if you had 2 dogs and one was female and one was male, is it better to spend your money on the spaying of the female or the dog?
That's a tricky one, because generally it seems to be the males that are more likely to get involved in some of the aggressive behaviour, and so we're trying to curb that. You'd want to potentially focus on the males, but then if we're looking at reducing that boom in the population, the females are the ones that are having all those puppies. So they're the ones we really want to focus on. So at least they're not producing more and more litters and adding to that boom in the population.
Yeah, it's hard, but much more expensive.
Yeah, ideally we'd want
having
to,
had quite a few cats.
Ideally you'd want to get both of them desexed, but you can speak to our staff. We can offer free desexing for menacing dogs in Ōtara.
So that was my next question, really, moving on from that. So what are my options? I'm in Ōtara. I come down to Accelerating Aotearoa to get my food box every week, or twice a week sometimes, but I can't afford my dog food, so I'm asking them for dog food as well. And sometimes we get dog food from you guys, you give it to us, but I don't think that is really helping the problem. But so I'm not feeding my kids because I need to feed my dogs. So how do I go about getting my dogs spayed when I really haven't got very much money at all, or neutered generally?
Yeah. I mean, you can get in touch with Auckland Council. You can speak to the animal management team. We
3010101.
That's the one. Yeah.
Okay.
We can offer free desexing for dogs that are classified as menacing in Ōtara.
And that's by species.
Species. They're all dogs.
No, but by subspecies, by breed.
By breed. So there's 2 ways a dog can be menacing. It is by breed. The most common menacing breed is, of course, the American Pit Bull Terrier. That's actually, without getting too complicated, Pit Bull types that are classified as menacing rather than the specific breed. And then if a dog's been naughty, if it's been classified as menacing because of its behaviour, that's the other way a dog will be classified.
So Pit Bulls or related and menacing.
Yes, they're menacing because of their breed, automatically classified.
But if they're a menacing dog anyway,
then they may be classified by the council.
So my understanding, and maybe I hope I'm wrong, I think, is that you actually have to register your dog before you can access that service. Is that correct?
For the free desexing, the dog would need to be currently registered as a prerequisite, I guess, as something that needs to be done.
How much does a registration cost?
Again, that's dependent on lots of different aspects. If the dog's never been registered before, there's a pro rata fee.
Yes, I remember that.
Yeah, that's lower, kind of the closer to the end of the registration year. But then that's just the first registration. Any subsequent registration after that, you'll be paying the full fees. It is cheaper for a dog to be desexed. So once your dog's desexed, you do get that cheaper registration. So that helps. And you can apply for a responsible dog owner license. So if your dog's well behaved, it hasn't been getting out roaming the streets, causing trouble, being naughty, and the registration's paid on time every year, you can apply for what we call an RDOL, Responsible Dog Owner License. It's free to apply for that.
Do you have to put the dog through its paces to show?
No, you do have to answer a test, but the questions are very easy. They're open book, and if they are things that every responsible dog owner should know anyway, and if you don't know them already, it's open book, so you can learn them as you're doing the test.
Okay.
And
do you want to give us an example of a few of those things? Shall I feed my dog?
I think the answer to that would definitely be yes. Otherwise, they're going to be out rummaging through the bins looking for food. But it's more about just knowing what the bylaws are, dogs being on lead in public, things like that. But yeah, once that's done, it does drop the registration fee quite significantly. So if you've got a desexed dog and you hold RDOL, your registration is considerably cheaper than what it would be if you didn't have those two things. So certainly worth doing.
Responsible Dog Owner's License.
Yes, and it's free to apply for that. So.
Fantastic. Well, it's a really good education thing. So
you just have to have had the dog for a year with the registration without any fines or anything. So, to be eligible. So,
yeah. Because I think a lot of it's ignorance too, isn't it? So there are other organisations that offer free desexing out there.
I think if you get in touch with, there's a few rescues I think out there. SPCA are always willing to help where they can. I don't want to kind of flood their inboxes, so to speak, but it is always worth reaching out to them if you are struggling to get your dog desexed.
Yeah, and so SPCA, some of the rescues, so these are obviously not council rescues, are they?
No, these are, I mean, they're kind of independent doing their own thing.
Yeah.
There's a lot of different organisations out there trying to curb this boom in the population and,
that's
increase
really encouraging, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, because there's a welfare, this isn't our main focus, obviously that's more these rescue groups and SPCA, but if we've got all these unwanted puppies out there, there's welfare concerns there, and trying to find them homes and making sure they're being looked after.
Yeah, turn into menacing dogs themselves, of course.
Yeah.
So let's have a talk with you, Lily. Tell me, what's your why? Why did you become a member of the team?
Well, I always wanted to be a part of this team. It was a new role that got announced last year, and I was currently working at the animal shelter in Woody, and I really enjoyed it there, and just seeing all the officers coming in and out, dropping dogs off. I learned so much being at the shelter as well. I really wanted.
Was that a volunteer job or a?
No, I was working for the council as well. Yeah. So I just wanted to grow and kind of climb the ladder and do this job, and knowing that this team goes out to educate the community. I love that the most, especially coming to Ōtara. This is where I'm from, so obviously I want to educate the kids that I went to school with. Because growing up here, I know a lot of dogs don't get the home they deserve, just like my old family dog, but because of the job I got, I was able to educate my parents, and now, our dog sleeps inside, our dog lives their best life, so and that's why I do what I do.
Saint Lily, I heard.
Yeah.
the saint of dogs.
Yeah.
It's quite lovely, isn't it? It's very special. And quite lovely too, and I guess it goes with the whole branding of this new approach to helping us manage our pets, is that let's have a softer approach, let's have a whānau approach. Yeah, so that's kind of a nice sort of segue into what are the kind of things that you do with the public. So I know really nothing about your team apart from the fact you come to community meetings. So, and sometimes have dog food. So tell us about what happens in the role. Do you want to lead out on that one, or what does your daily experience feel like?
So we start patrols at 7:30 in the morning, just so we can catch all the kids walking to school. We do have a lot of dogs that do follow kids to school.
Family dogs?
Yeah, like sometimes, kids don't know. They get left with the dog at home, and the gate's open, so the dog will just follow them to school. So that's why we're out there, just to chase them back home, educate the kids walking to school as well, to not go near the dog, because we don't know what the dog's going to do. So it's just having our presence in the community so they can see that we are doing something about all the roaming dogs. And just educating them, because a lot of them don't have that education, which is why
what
they
sort
don't
of things,
know.
what would my
So
child learn from you?
Just how to
As a
be safe.
10-year-old?
Yeah, how to be safe around dogs. We go to schools and we do presentations. We talk about, we have different rules. So like chin or chest is the best. So where to touch a dog or how to approach it. And
So what's
don't
best?
approach it.
Say that again.
Chin or chest, that's the best. So obviously don't
touch the dog on its chin or on its chest.
Or on its chest. That's the best place to pet a dog.
Okay.
Well, that's what we try to teach kids. Because a lot of kids, they'll just run up to a dog like, oh, I want to touch it. Just touch its head, and that's when you get a reaction from them. And that's what we don't want for the kids. So it's just nice, yeah.
So that whole thing that we've always done, which is like let the dog give you a good sniff first before you go anywhere near it, is that not the right thing to do?
We do that as well. So, on our presentation, we always tell them to put their fist out. That's the best way to do it.
No
Check
tangling
it.
fingers.
Check it sweet before you meet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
We have
I love this.
a whole list of little poem. Is poem the right word? I don't know, but little easy
just
things
like
for kids to remember. Yeah.
Rhyming couplets, I suppose, are they?
If a dog has a snack, keep well back. So like that's another one.
If
a dog has a snack, keep well back. So obviously when a dog's eating, stay away.
Yes.
You're not thinking. Yeah. He doesn't think that you're competing. So what's your favourite bit about all of that? What's the thing that you love most of all?
I love the kids because I love talking to the kids because they go home and teach their parents. Sometimes when I'm on the road, it's hard to talk to adults. They don't want to listen. They don't want to educate themselves. So I feel like going to the kids is a good way because parents love their kids, and I want them to go home and educate because I feel like parents will listen to them more. If they won't listen to me, they probably listen to their kids, hopefully.
I try and talk to whānau quite a lot about how to work better with their dogs, but there's that whole idea about wanting to have puppies. It seems to be a really difficult message. Lots of our whānau won't entertain the idea of having their dog desexed. But I wonder if deep down it's about the money.
The money is probably one of the harder things because vets obviously is the go-to place for desexing, and they're not cheap.
No.
But, there's a lot of support out there.
So some vets are doing like free days, aren't they? Like pop-up free days. I've heard about that somewhere.
I think so, and then I know SPCA have done things like that in the past as well. So I guess it's just keeping an ear to the ground and seeing if there are things.
Maybe
like that
publicising it.
Because I think the desexing would really help get on top of.
Absolutely, because no one wants to hear about dogs going.
Yeah. And it actually has health benefits as well. Dogs are more likely to live like longer lives with fewer issues if they're desexed.
Okay,
it's happier.
It's a really good thing.
As well.
We've got any other headlines to share with us about desexing your dog? Can we do some of those? That would be really helpful.
Yeah, I mean, I guess
10 reasons why.
10 or 10. I've got to come up with 10
that's
now.
a lot.
You've got time to think.
Yeah, well, reduces the risk of roaming, reduces the likelihood of them behaving aggressively, decreases risk of health issues, and therefore increases their life expectancy. Cheaper dog registration. Yeah. So that's another big plus.
Access to what's it called? The license. The
response. It doesn't need to be desexed for the responsible dog owner. They need to be registered for that. But obviously you combine the IDOL with the desexing, and then the registration's way cheaper.
That's great. Yeah. So what have you got to add to Lily's display of that? I mean, what do you do every day, Aaron, apart from come to community meetings? Take phone calls from mad women in the community.
I manage a team, work with the other teams and coordinate where we go, so it's a pretty big job for the whole team, I think. So like Lily says, we do the morning patrols around the schools and around our high risk streets as well, so I work with our specialist who tells me where all of the streets with the most vicious dogs are in any given period, and that's where I send Lily and the others to go looking for these dogs.
Find an ugly dog. Follow it home.
Yeah, follow them home.
Follow them home, and if we can't find their home, then they do come to the shelters. But our goal is to usually try and get them back to the owners.
And the messaging I've heard out there is there is no room left in the shelters.
Shelters are operating at capacity and have been for I think over a year now. So it is a challenge. Another reason why we do want to try and get the dogs home rather than the shelter. But it's better if we can educate the owner. Hey, your dog was out. Maybe fix your fence or keep it at the back, or try and work with them, give them some good messaging on how to keep the dog contained and why to keep the dog contained. And it's not just about not wanting them to breed and generate all these puppies while they're roaming, or potentially, chasing the neighbour's cat or biting a child, but also for the dog's safety. I mean, we do come across a few dogs that have been hit by cars or get into fights with other roaming dogs and come off second best. Dogs are even stolen while they're out roaming, and some people with the best intentions will see a roaming dog, think it's homeless, and then just keep it. And they think they're doing the best thing. They think they're giving this dog a new home and a good life. Meanwhile, the owner's upset, wondering where their dog is. So
sobbing.
And obviously, these things aren't going to happen if your dogs are kept on the property. So it's getting that message out. And the best way to get that dogs will always run home. They know that Lily and Co are out to catch them, so they'll give them a bit of a bark and then they'll bolt, and 9 times out of 10 they run straight home. Yeah.
They know the bands now.
Yeah.
They hear the tyres.
And then we can speak to the owners, rather than them coming into the shelter to pick up their dog, paying extra money and being angry off the back foot, which sometimes happens if we don't know where the dogs are. That is where they're going to end up.
Yeah.
But
do you get a phone call if it goes to the? Do you call if it's registered?
If it's registered and microchipped, because if it isn't wearing its tag but it's got a microchip, we can still find out the information. So microchipping is another really important thing to help reunite lost dogs.
And that's not expensive, is it?
Microchipping isn't. We can actually do that on the property with the registration as well. But we'd need to know. We'd need to know where the dog lives. Yeah. We'd need to have some way of accessing information to be able to call.
Using that information.
Yeah, unfortunately, the dogs don't tell us where they live. Yeah,
oddly enough.
So the patrols are a huge part of the role. But we also do education, like Lily said, going into schools, speaking to tamariki, teaching them how to be safe. One thing that is really useful for kids. The thing with the hand you were talking about, that's to understand they sniff your hand. That's the little poem for that one. But one thing that kids always carry is school bags. And so we teach them that if there is a dog behaving aggressively, to hold the bag between them and the dog, because the dog is more likely to stay back, but even if it does try and bite, it's going to bite the bag instead of the child.
So it gives you a few more minutes anyway.
Yeah, well, I mean, you don't never ever run away from a dog because it'll chase, and they're much faster. Really they're faster than adults. They're certainly faster than kids.
And even you.
Yeah.
Run like the wind.
And what are they? They don't have hands, so what are they going to use to catch you if you run away? They're going to use their teeth. So running away from a dog is a key way to get bitten. So that's another thing, teaching kids to not panic. Easier said than done, especially for children, but to not panic, to hold that bag, and to call out for a grown-up. Try and be calm, but to call out for a grown-up. Because the owner may be nearby, or there'll be people driving past. The school routes are generally very busy. There'll hopefully be someone who can help chase the dog away, keep the kids safe, or call animal management. We'll come out. If there's a dog near a school or a dog behaving aggressively, one of our reactive teams, the teams that respond to phone calls, will get out there straight away as soon as they can.
And you get to that team through 3010101.
3010101.
I need a dog.
Number. Yeah. Ask for animal management.
So a couple of kind of scenarios, I suppose, to help you out, listeners, understand what to do next. So we know what number to call. Is that the only thing I can do if I see a dog out loose that shouldn't be loose? Well, I feel he shouldn't be loose.
As a general rule...
Because we've already established that theft is not such a black
No. As a general rule, we just tell people not to approach a dog and just to call us. I mean, again, people with the best intentions trying to help may end up getting bitten. A lot of dogs are friendly. They're just following the kids because they want to play or they smell the food. And I've got a beagle who will just go after school bags because he smells the lunches in there.
He had a former career on the primary line, did he?
He actually used to work for MPI. He was a detective dog. So, but he doesn't know he's retired, so his nose still works very, very well. So he comes to the schools sometimes with Lily and the others, and they have to warn the kids to keep their bags away from him. So dogs aren't always going to be aggressive. But we had a campaign, any dog can bite, and I guess no one knows.
That resounds really well, actually, doesn't it?
And even the friendliest dog may bite in the wrong circumstance, and you've got screaming children, a lot going on, cars driving past. A normally friendly dog might be freaked out by all that, and then if a well-meaning bystander grabs the dog to try and take it home or contain it, it might turn around and bite them. So as a general rule, we just say if you see a roaming dog, call animal management and don't approach it. Better safe than sorry.
Okay, so bringing all this back to what it actually means right here in Ōtara, not in school, but at our holiday program, we're going to have a whole lot of beautiful young tamariki and rangatahi. Looking forward to meeting you guys. What's going to happen when you come to take part in the school holiday program with us?
I guess it depends what's going on there. I mean, there's a new Pukekohe Adoption and Education Centre
opening.
Sounds
really exciting.
This weekend. So that's exciting. They've actually got an open day, so if anyone can get down to Pukekohe, I know it's a bit of a trek.
Yeah, it is
but that's a fun day. Ribbon cutting ceremony and lots of
Who's
puppies.
opening it?
I think it's Councillor Bartley, I believe.
Josephine.
Josephine Bartley. I think. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, ribbon cutting, opening day, lots of puppies to play with. So when we come to the open day, obviously our goal is to teach kids how to be safe around dogs and hopefully give them some packs to take home to their parents, especially if their parents own dogs, about responsible ownership. And then the Pukekohe shelter staff should be there with some puppies to play with as well.
Oh, that would be really exciting. Some safe puppies. But they could practice their new skills on the puppies.
Absolutely, yeah. They can, to understand they sniff your hand, they can practice that on the puppies. So.
Yeah, with their fingers in, so the puppy doesn't...
That's right, you don't want to get your fingers bitten off. So,
that's not something I'd ever thought about with a dog. It's really interesting. So what about if you've got a young colleague who's really loves dogs and... maybe someone's still at school, maybe your little sister or something. She really wants to be just like Lily when she grows up. What's your advice to her in terms of getting involved in the career?
Well, I started off with vet nursing first, so I'll just encourage her to work hard. Obviously, I took biology at school. It did help me a lot towards vet nursing, but I just took every opportunity I did. I applied on Seek. I just looked on Seek for all these different jobs for vet nursing, and I just worked hard and I found on-job trainings. Jobs that did training on the job. And it was more about the people I knew. I met a lot of people throughout my journey and they noticed how hard I worked, so they offered me different jobs. So it was it was really cool. I just feel like you have to be a hard worker and just you have to show that you want to be there. Just like this job. I just show that I want to be here. I try work as hard as I can. And that helps me build my career. Yeah.
It's great advice for any young student, really, isn't it?
Yeah, and especially for me coming from Ōtara. Like I did this role because I want to inspire all the other kids where I come from, because I know a lot of us, I remember going to school, we didn't really think we could get a good career or we wouldn't make it far. And I'm quite proud of myself, and I know like when I go back to school they are quite proud of me being in this role, so I try to do the best I can.
So that your school is, the alumni are proud of you.
Yeah.
That's very lovely. What are you going to add to that, Aaron? Did you always want to be a dog person?
I've always loved
Mr. Beagle.
I've always loved dogs. I actually have 3 dogs. The Beagle's more work than the other 2 combined. But
well, they say that though, don't they?
Yeah.
You can see how they behave in the airport too.
Yes, yeah. So, but I've always loved animals in general. So, I mean, I studied animal care and management in college in the UK, where I grew up. I actually did some volunteering in Ecuador on an animal rehab centre there.
Wow.
And we had some dogs, and the locals.
Is that on your agenda? Take me to Ecuador.
Yeah.
It was a really cruel prank that the locals played on me. There was some kennels there, and when I first got there, I had to walk the dogs, and they showed me the route, and there's this big lake on the route, and they said, don't let the dogs go in the lake because there's crocodiles in there, and we don't want the dogs eaten by crocodiles. So make sure that they said they know not to go in there. They'll just walk along, but if you see them going over, call them back. And I thought, okay, thanks. So as soon as we're walking past the lake, all of the dogs just sprint and make a beeline, just jump into this lake. They're splashing around and they're swimming and having the time of their lives. And I'm like, oh no, there's crocodiles. And I'm like panicking and trying to calling all the dogs back. And then I see the guys sitting on the banks just laughing.
Rolling around.
There's no crocodiles in Ecuador. There's caiman, but there's no wild crocodiles. There was certainly nothing in that lake. And it was just a very cruel prank that they'd played on me.
Though.
So,
I can see you're probably still a bit tortured by the whole
a little bit
experience.
tortured, yeah. But yeah, so that was fun. And then when I first came to Aotearoa, I saw a position for an animal control officer, as we were called back then. And yeah, thought it was a bit of me, and I've been doing it ever since. And now team leader of the proactive team. So.
It's great, isn't it?
Yeah.
So just call it your dream job.
Yeah,
You've got a great team.
Yeah, they are an amazing team. They've got. It is a tough job. I mean, they're still animal management officers as well at the end of the day. So there is still that enforcement aspect to the role, but they get the benefits of interacting with the community and going to these fun events as well.
It gives it context, I think, too, doesn't it?
Yeah. We get a much better approach, I think, with that educational approach going in, trying to teach people how to be responsible and keep kids safe around dogs and keep themselves safe around dogs. Rather than just coming in with a big stick. It does make a difference. Or
with a dog catching hoopy thing.
We still have those as well. But we go to a lot of the big events. We were at Pacifica. We're going to be at Polyfest. So look out for us there. Yeah. So we'll have a stand. So.
It's exciting.
No cute puppies there, unfortunately. But we'll have the pictures of the ones that are up for adoption.
Oh, okay. So. And no livestock at all.
No livestock. We won't have anything. Yeah. I don't think there's anything out there.
Too much excitement in the air, really.
A lot of people, a lot of noise.
Too much going on.
So what's the most hilarious animal you have found in your career to date that needs to be removed from its rampage in public?
Well, as an officer, I've only ever caught dogs in this role, but we have, working at the pound, we've had so many different animals come in. I know me and my other colleague, we took 2 piglets in. We found them, was it last year or the year before? But it was nighttime.
Were they kuni or were they?
Yeah, they're half kuni pigs. Oh, okay. Yeah, well, that's what we were told when we took them to shelter.
Makes them a lot more interesting.
Yeah. So, we took them into the pound and they ended up getting adopted. So that was really cool for us because we're just so used to working with dogs. So it was just nice for a change, yeah.
It was quite fun, isn't it?
Yeah. But Aaron's probably got better stories for you. Have you caught any stock?
We need some more stories, more crocodile stories.
No crocodiles. I did have a guy call up once who was convinced there was a kiwi under his car, and I was like, "Wow, a kiwi in Auckland? Surely not." And I rang him back. I was like, "Can you describe it?" He's like, "Yeah, it's like a bird. It's got 2 legs. It's got a long beak. It's got a little brown thing." And I was like, "It definitely sounds like a kiwi." I was like, "Where?" And he was in Kelston. I was like, "It can't be any kiwi in Kelston of all places." And then,
it's understandable.
And then I got out there. It was a hedgehog. So
where did the beak come from?
It was just a hedgehog just wandered under his car. He just
hedgehog with a beak.
I don't know where the standing on 2 legs and a long beak came from, but he was convinced it was a kiwi. But we had a guy who, let's say, was perhaps not of sound mind, convinced that there was a monkey running around Cox's Bay. So we rang the zoo. We're like, "You guys missing any monkeys?" And they had to count all the monkeys. And in the meantime, we go out and trying to look for this monkey. And the zoo rang back and said they got all their monkeys. They're all accounted for. And we rang the guy and said, "Are you sure it was a monkey? Can you describe it?" And he's like, "Yeah, it was big eyes, bushy tail, sitting in the tree." And we're like, you probably saw a possum.
It's a possum monkey.
Yes. But in terms of actual exciting animals, we did impound an emu once.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, so that was exciting. and that got adopted. That's living its best life on a farm somewhere now. So
Emu farm.
I think it's literally just someone's lifestyle block, and they've got like chickens, pigs, and an emu now. So there was Reggie, the motorway pig.
Oh.
He got adopted to a vegan sanctuary. But yeah,
he was en route to his life.
He was, yeah.
As a vegan burger or something.
Yeah. Well, we actually named him Kevin, but the vegan sanctuary didn't like that,
Bacon.
so they renamed him Reggie. But yeah, he was very lucky. I guess we managed to catch him on the side of the motorway, and he ended up living in a vegan sanctuary. So he's got a good life now.
No one's going to be lining him up for Christmas.
No, yeah. But mostly dogs. And then the proactive team, we deal entirely with dogs, and engaging with the community, getting our messages out there, keeping people safe.
Keeping dog bites. Well, that was a really fun conversation. Thank you very much. Really fun and really exciting to see, you walking the talk around protection, care, instead of, just locking people's dogs up, really, because that's not what it's about. Yeah.
And I think if you do, I mean, obviously we tell people not to approach dogs, but sometimes aggressive dogs will approach you, or if you see kids, with vicious dogs barking around them, you're probably not going to just want to leave them to it, you know what I mean? So the best thing I could recommend people carry is an umbrella. Like, I mean, it rains all the time in Auckland, right? So you're probably going to have one anyway, but maybe not recently, but keeps the sun off you. But if you open up an umbrella between you and a dog, it creates this shield, and then the dog can't get to you. So an umbrella is a really good thing to carry to keep you safe from roaming dogs, and then you can call us without the dog getting too close to you.
It's a bit of a juggling act. Is that your favourite advice, your most important piece of advice?
I think, don't approach a dog, call animal management, and carry an umbrella. Okay.
Anything to add to that?
No.
I like that. It's great. Thank you very much. That was lovely. And we'll probably have a post-holiday program podcast with you guys too, so we can reflect on what we learned from the kids, because I'm sure they have lots of really interesting input. Thank you.
Yeah, we can bring some like colouring in and things for them to do
that'd be
as well,
great.
with all our little sayings. We've got colouring.
Yeah, that'd be great. Yeah, we've got lots of help pencils.
Check its sweet before you meet.
Yeah, check its sweet before you meet.
Yeah.
That's the best.
Try and memorise them all. I guess messages for dog owners as well is just get your dogs de-sexed. Yeah. Make sure they're registered. Keep them contained on your property.
I really feel that our community just doesn't quite get that this is an issue. It really is an issue. Roaming dogs are a real issue for our safety, for our kids. And let's work together to make things happen.
Yeah, and I think as well we have those rules, and we have fences in New Zealand. I spent a bit of time actually training the dog control officers over in Samoa, but it was a different world over there because a lot of the properties don't have fencing, so the dogs kind of just run around and kind of do what they want over there. So very different to here.
Face different ends as well.
Yeah. But I think obviously over here we do have different rules in place, and they're there to keep everybody safe. And keep the dogs safe as well. We don't want them getting hit by cars. There's a lot of traffic in Ōtara.
So my question to you, Aaron, is what happens when I find a dog that's injured or just on the loose? What's my best course of action when I know it needs to get its home?
So call us, call the council number, call animal management, and we'll do our best to get that dog home. If it's out roaming, we'll come out and try and chase it home. If you have a dog on your property contained, like maybe a friendly little puppy's just come round and eaten your cat's food or something, and now he's in your backyard looking all lost, call us. We'll send officers around. They'll come and pick it up. Any roaming dogs, whether contained or loose, we need to know about it. Otherwise, they could cause all manner of trouble or get into harm themselves. And we will try our best to get those dogs home. We will advertise them if they're not chipped. If they are chipped, we'll contact the owner and say, hey, come and get your dog. Our shelters, particularly for Ōtara, the Manukau shelter in Woody, they're the first point of call for anyone who's lost a dog. We're the first people they're going to call, hey, have you got my dog? And it's better if we can say, yes, we have. So we need people to be calling us when they see a roaming dog or when they find a roaming dog, because we're the best way of getting that dog home. If we can't get the dog home, there are procedures in place where we will try and adopt the dogs out. That's part of the reason we've got this new Pukekohe adoption centres, to try and get more dogs into new homes. We do actually adopt pit bulls now. A lot of people aren't unaware of that. We've been adopting pit bulls for, I think, about a year. Yeah, over a year. They still have to pass the same kind of temp test that the other dogs do. But then there's this misconception out there that if you see a roaming pit bull when you call Auckland Council, it's a death sentence. And that's not the case. They're treated the same as any other breed, and our goal is always, first and foremost, to try and get the dogs back to their owners. So, long story short, if you see a roaming dog, please give us a call.
That's great. And call on 3010101.
Yes.
That's great. Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, Lily. Really enjoyed our talk today. It's been great.
Thanks so much.
Know so much more about your dogs.